When Mordecai learned all that had occurred, he tore his clothes, put on sackcloth and ashes, went into the middle of the city, and cried loudly and bitterly. He only went as far as the king's gate, since the law prohibited anyone wearing sackcloth from entering the king's gate. There was great mourning among the Jewish people in every province where the king's command and edict came. They fasted, wept, and lamented, and many lay on sackcloth and ashes. Esther's female servants and her eunuchs came and reported the news to her, and the queen was overcome with fear. She sent clothes for Mordecai to wear so he could take off his sackcloth, but he did not accept them. Esther summoned Hattaketh, one of the king's eunuchs assigned to her, and dispatched him to Mordecai to learn what he was doing and why. So Hattaketh went to Mordecai in the city square in front of the king's gate. Mordecai told him everything that had happened, as well as the exact amount of money Haman had promised to pay the royal treasury for the slaughter of the Jews. Mordecai also gave him a copy of the written decree issued in Susa ordering their destruction, so that Hattaketh might show it to Esther, explaining it to her and command her to approach the king, implore his favor, and plead with him personally for her people. Hattaketh came and reported to Mordecai's response to Esther. Esther spoke to Hattaketh and commanded him to tell Mordecai, "All the royal officials and people of royal provinces know that one law applies to every man or woman who approaches the king in the inner courtyard and who has not been summoned, the death penalty. Only if the king extends the gold scepter will that person live. I have not been summoned to appear before the king for the last 30 days. Esther's response was reported to Mordecai. Mordecai told the messenger to reply to Esther, "Don't think that you will escape the fate of all the Jews because you are in the king's palace. If you keep silent at this time, liberation and deliverance will come to the Jewish people from another place, but you and your father's house will be destroyed. Who knows? Perhaps you have come to your royal position for such a time as this." Esther sent this reply to Mordecai, "Go and assemble all the Jews who can be found in Susa and fast for me. Don't eat or drink for 3 days, day or night. I and my female servants will also fast in the same way. After that, I will go to the king, even if it is against the law. If I perish, I perish." So Mordecai went and did everything Esther had ordered him. In his providence, God chose one nation from which the Messiah would come and bring redemption to this world, the Jewish nation. It is no surprise that the enemy attempted time and time again to wipe out this nation, hoping to stop the arrival of the promised Messiah. The story of Esther is a glimpse into one of these destructive plots. Esther was an orphan girl living in the pagan land of Susa. She was raised by her cousin Mordecai. After an unusual turn of events, Esther was crowned Queen of Persia. Although Esther was given one big title, she had one equally big secret. She was a Jew. Now the king had favored advisor named Haman, who was not so secretly hated the Jews, and he convinced the king to annihilate the whole people group. Mordecai noticed an opportunity for Esther to partner with God for deliverance. He pleaded with her to approach the king on behalf of her people. Esther knew her task required a posture of complete disobedience. So she implored the Jews to fast and pray, to intercede before God for protection. God gives us the opportunity to be used as his vessels, but we can only do that if we are anchored to him through relationship. Relationship comes through spiritual discipline. Fasting is a spiritual discipline where we abstain from food for a time in order to seek the Lord and reorient our focus back on him. When we feel the hunger pang, we are reminded to pray over the issue that requires intercession. Fasting demonstrates our humility and admission that he is God and we are not. This expression of dependence pleases the Lord and shows that we trust in our all-knowing, all-powerful, covenant-keeping God. Interestingly enough, the book of Esther never makes mention of God's name, but his fingerprints are all over the story. We see God provide redemption for his people through providential placing of Esther in her royal position for such a time as this.